Good afternoon, year two. It's Friday afternoon, so we've nearly made it to the weekend. Well done. This is your last activity for this week. It's our grammar, punctuation, and spelling activity. Now, this week, we are going to be looking at using apostrophes. And apostrophes can be a little bit hard to know how to draw. Now, we've done lots and lots of work over the last couple of weeks on speech marks. And apostrophes are a bit like the closing speech marks at the end of the thing we're saying, but we only use one of the nines. We don't do 99, we just do 9. We're going to learn a bit more about that later. So what we're learning today, we're going to know what an apostrophe is. We're going to know to use an apostrophe for contraction and to use contractions in sentences correctly. And I'm going to talk to you about what the word contraction means. So apostrophes, how and when to use them. So what is an apostrophe? An apostrophe is a little mark that looks like a high up comma. So it's similar to a comma, but whereas a comma sits on and just underneath the line, an apostrophe is in the air, kind of level with the top of your high letters. So your t, your l, your h, it's level with the top of those. And it looks like this little red mark here. I always draw it as like a little 9 because I put a little dot on the top of it. Now, an apostrophe has two jobs, and we're only going to be learning about one of those jobs today. We're going to be learning about job 1, which is sometimes when we're talking, we do not say every single word, every single sound in every single word. We squash words together and miss bits out so that we can say them more quickly. This is called contraction. Basically, that's when we get two words and we contract, make smaller, we squash them together and little bits pop out. Okay? So when we write a contracted word, apostrophes show us where the missed out letters were. So when we contract a word, we take out letters, parts of the word, and we put an apostrophe there to show that those letters are missing. Now, it's sometimes there'll be more than one letter missing, and they'll be in different places, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Imagine the letters getting crumpled up and turned into an apostrophe. So here's some words that we contract quite regularly. I am, they are, do not, cannot, he will. So I am becomes I'm. Can you see that red apostrophe? So we've popped out the A, the A, we've squashed the word together, and we've put the apostrophe to show where the letters have been taken away. So they are. What would that become? There. Not there as in over there, or there, it belongs to them, but they are. Okay? So we've got the they, and then you can see we've squashed they and are together, and the a has popped out, and we've used an apostrophe to replace that. Do not. What would do not become? Don't. Now we've squashed those two words together again. The o has come out this time, so we've got don't. Cannot. Can't. Again, the cannot, we've got rid of an extra n and the o to make can't. And he will becomes he'll. We get rid of the w and the I there, squash it together, make he'll. She is. She's. They have. They've. Got rid of the H and the A there. Will not. Now, this one's a bit of a funny one because we don't say willn't, we say won't. So this is one where lots of the letters actually change. Just one to remember. Could not. Couldn't. Got rid of the R. Squash the word together. What is. What's. I had. I'd. I would is also I'd. We are. We're. Is not. Isn't. Shall not. There's another very strange one. That shan't. So contractions are a bit like nicknames for our friends and family. They usually make the name shorter nicknames, don't they? So for example, if you had a David, you might call them Dave. And Elizabeth might become a Liz. Jacob becomes a Jake. Susan becomes a Sue. So we're contracting. We're giving our bigger words nicknames. And the reason we contract words is because that's the way we speak. It comes from our speech, doesn't it? Because I've just said there, doesn't it? I didn't say does not it, because it would sound really strange, wouldn't it? And wouldn't it? Would not it? But be careful. This is really important. Don't confuse it's without an apostrophe and it's with an apostrophe. So the it's without is possessive. That means its edges were sharp. So the edges belong to it's. And it's with an apostrophe is either it is or it has. One thing to remember as well, when you put in an apostrophe S, it's, sorry, in fact, ignore that. Don't say that part. We'll do that later. So we're going to test yourself. So you can get a pencil and a paper and see if you can write the apostrophe, the contracted version of these words with an apostrophe. So let us, what would let us become? You need to pause the video, you can do. Let's see what it would become. Oh, it's not there. It would be let's. Would have. What would have become? Pause the video if you need to. Would have would become would, apostrophe the would have. Must not. Again, pause the video. Can you contract must not? If we contracted it, we'd have must, must n apostrophe t. So m or s t n apostrophe t. They are. What would that become? Pause the video if you want to have a go at writing it. It would be there. T-H-E-Y apostrophe R-E. We get rid of the R. You have. What would that become? Pause the video if you need to. What would it become? It would become you've. You are o apostrophe the e. Y-O-U apostrophe V-E. And he has. That would become he's. Her e apostrophe s. H-E apostrophe s. Now we're going to do our first task. And our first task is the first worksheet. And it's got a list of 2 words. On one side, it's got words, 2 word parts. And on the other side, it's got the contracted version. What you need to do is read each one, draw a line to match the contracted word to the full word. So for example, if you had must not, you'd draw a line to mustn't. Okay, so pause the video whilst you do that activity. You don't need to print it off if you don't want to. You can just talk about it. Okay, when you finish that, we're going to have a go. We're not going to do that, test ourselves actually. We're going to go through a review. So first of all, what is an apostrophe? What does it look like? What does it do? So an apostrophe is like a comma in the air that shows us where letters have been taken out, where missing letters are in a contraction. And what's a contraction? Where we've taken 2 or more words and squashed them down into one. So task 2, this will take you a little bit more time. You're going to complete the worksheet. So for part 1, you need to write apostrophes, practice writing them on the line, above the line, I should say. Part 2, you're going to rewrite the words with a contraction. Okay, so they're the 4 words and you need to make them into a contraction with an apostrophe. Your next one, you're going to remove the contraction and write the full 2 words. So for example, if it was we're, you'd write we are. And for part 4, read the sentences. With the bits that are highlighted and underlined, you're going to rewrite the full sentence, but change those highlighted bits into a contraction. Okay? So pause the video to do that now. Okay, year 2. When you finished all that work, that's brilliant. You're all done for the week. Have a lovely weekend, and I will see you again next week. Bye-bye.